Hey guys, this is a update to my Dark Irregular deck profile. This is what's been currently working for me, what I think in my personal opinion is the most consistent version of the build. So let's just get into it. Obviously your starter, nothing to talk about right there. Need to run one, doesn't matter which one. Run 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. You don't want to run 6 draw because you need the crits to pressure, and deck out is kind of prevalent but kind of not really. I would just prefer the crits. You don't really need the draws. For Rufus, he's typically what you want to ride first unless you have the setup to do NLK first ride, but you most of the time always want to ride Rufus. For NLK, really good pressure and finisher of the deck with hard leg. And then I'm running 11 threes now. I'm actually running Number of Terror. I like Number of Terror for his rear guard and guard ability. If I have 10 or more in soul, it gets plus 10,000 power and plus 10,000 shield. So essentially, you're not really hindered by him if you have too many of these clogging up in your hand, because most of the time he's guard. I also like him for his second ability of when he attacks, I can shovel rear guard into soul and draw 2 if I have 10 cards in soul. So he gives you draw power, he helps you sustain until you OTK your opponent on your 4th turn. For Emblem Master, he's key in the deck, help you set up your plays of No Life King, Rufus, and Variance Hard Leg. You also want to max this out at 4. Now some people have been talking about, oh, just run it at 3, but I always want to see this card just to make sure that I can kill them on my 4th turn. So that's why I maxed it out at 4 copies. And then we're running 2 of Rodea. Now, Rodea's effect is Vanguard Rearguard. It gains plus 1,000 for each card in your soul. That's continuous. The reason you run Rodea is if you're fighting against any of the 2 Paladin decks, which is Shadow Paladin or Royal Paladin, you can No Life King into Rodea and completely turn off their deck. And then they're just swinging at you for villain numbers. And then you just kill them next turn. That's the basic thought process of this. Also, it's really good against the Excel matchup if you do have a lot of cards in Soul. You can just go into Rodea, and now you're almost always sitting at a 17k base, 22k base, or 28k base, which is really nice. So that's what I use her for. She's also a really good beater, but also a really good ride target as well. On to the grade 1s. For Yellow Bolt, really good ride target of the deck. Sometimes it gives you a draw, but most of the time you're just doing it for the soul charge. 4 of Alluring Succubus. Now I took out Doreen for Alluring Succubus, one of 2 reasons. Alluring lets me get to my grade 3s, which either I want to ride, or a grade 3 like Number of Terror, which lets me draw a card. It lets me put grade 3s in soul for Rufus. And another reason I run Alluring over Doreen is I hated riding Doreen, and if I don't have a booster, it's a trigger to pass. So now I have 8 ride targets in the deck that they're 8k by themselves, and most of the time will hit a grade 1 Vanguard. And of course, Variance Killer Tail, you have to run her at 4. She's your counter charge engine. She helps you get what you need into soul. And most of the time you don't really want to ride her unless you're going first. Like I said, that's one of the main reasons why I'm running Alluring, is because you want to be able to touch your opponent's Vanguard to hit you for damage, so you're not playing from behind or force him to drop a 15 to guard. Well, that's basically the deck profile, guys. I can show you some basic combos of the deck. Say, most of the time, you want to ride Rufus first. Say you have this in soul. Say you rode this. Most of the time you want to ride Rufus first. Now a basic combo that I usually like to do is, if I don't have grade 3s in soul, I will CB1, get the rest of the copies of Emblem Master from the deck, put them into soul, put one of them into hand, then call Emblem Master and get the rest of the copies of Rufus from my deck and put them into soul. So that's one basic combo. If you're going first, it's really good to pressure with 2 crit on your opponent's Vanguard when they're at grade 2. They'll either guard it or eat it. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing that you can do is if, let's say, you don't ride Rufus first and you ride No Life King, this requires a little bit more setup, but it can be done. Basically what has to happen is you have to ride Yellow Bolt first and soul charge 2 random cards. Doesn't really matter what they are. You have to ride Yellow Bolt. Let's see here. You also need to ride one of these and have one of these in your hand. Let's say you can either have one of these, the Killer Tail or the Alluring, doesn't matter. You just want to call it so you could put the other ones into soul. Then use Killer Tail to refund your counterblast with whatever you soul charged. Then ride, soul charge whatever. You currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9 cards in soul. Use its ability. Get the rest of your Rufus. Get the rest of your No Life Kings. Put them to soul. That's 12. Rest that. Put whatever into soul. Now you have 13. Sorry about the setup, guys. Just showing you some basic combos that you can do with the deck. Like, obviously this one is more of if you open up really nutso, but not really, because if you do open up multiple Yellow Bolts, you can just attack with Yellow Bolt a bunch of times to soul charge. So that's another way of getting to the 13 cards in soul if you don't have the Killer Tail. But yeah, you can do that, and then usually by your first grade 3 ride you'll have 10, so you'll be able to use this to plus also. And then, like I was saying, if you're against one of those Paladin decks, or if you're against like a really aggressive Excel deck, and you know that you have a grade 3 in hand to ride, you can just attack, use his ability, and then ride this from soul, and now you're going to be sitting at least a 22k base, if not a 17k base, most of the time. So yeah, that's basically the deck profile, guys. Basic little combos. Of course, I'll show you have the, like, obviously your kill combo. If you have 3 3s in soul, that's what you're going for by your turn 4 play. Sometimes you can get it off by turn 3, but you have to open up really well for that to happen. But anyways, this is my Dark Irregular deck profile. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe down below. Tell me what you think about it. And I'm going to give you all some more deck profiles. So, peace.